Welcome back to the BookCast. Today we are unpacking every layer of the incredible novel, Jane Eyre. Get ready for a deep dive into its characters, themes, and the hidden meanings behind the story.
Oh, it's going to be good.
We're focusing on the gripping conclusion of Jane's journey, exploring her incredible resilience, her moral dilemmas, and the unexpected twists that shape her destiny.
It's a truly remarkable ending, isn't it? Such a powerful conclusion to what was really a revolutionary novel for its time.
Absolutely.
As we get into these final chapters, it's more than just plot. You're watching Jane's ultimate triumph, her self-possession, her principles winning out over just overwhelming passion and, well, societal pressure.
Yeah, everything kind of comes together for her character.
Exactly. It shows you the profound cost, but also the profound reward of staying true to yourself, you know?
That self-possession idea is so key, I think, to why Jane Eyre still hits home today. So let's dive right into the aftermath of that huge revelation at Thornfield Hall. I mean, everyone remembers that scene.
Oh, yeah. The wedding ceremony, the objection.
All right, stop the wedding.
Yeah.
And then the secret of Bertha Mason, Rochester's wife, hidden away upstairs, just laid bare. It's huge.
It's seismic, really. A moment of incredible betrayal, obviously, but also, like you said, a real crucible for Jane. What does she do now?
Exactly. And her immediate reaction is just this whirlwind of profound anguish. Brontë portrays this clash between her mind and her heart so powerfully.
She does. The narrative literally tells us her mind is screaming, leave Thornfield at once. You know, the rational command to get out of this morally impossible situation.
But her heart.
But her heart finds it intolerable to leave Rochester. And this isn't just like disappointment about a wedding. It's the shattering of a dream she finally actually let herself believe in.
A dream of real love, reciprocated love.
Yeah, exactly. So she's not just sad. She's, the book says, terror-struck by how big the deception is and how deep her own feelings run.
And that internal battle it's described with such raw intensity. Brontë personifies conscience almost as a tyrant, didn't she? Literally wrestling with Jane's passion.
A tyrant.
Yes.
Yes. It's such a brutal inner voice. It doesn't just suggest she leave. It demands she tear herself away. It tells her, none shall help you.
Oh, that line.
You shall yourself pluck out your right eye, yourself cut off your right hand. Your heart shall be the victim, and you the priest to transfix it.
Wow. That's incredibly violent imagery for an inner struggle. Almost sacrificial.
It really highlights the massive personal cost of her sticking to her principles. It's not just a moral dilemma. It feels like, metaphorically, an act of self-mutilation to keep her integrity intact.
And it's not just abstract, is it? It takes a huge physical toll on her. She talks about her head swimming, feeling sick from the shock, and while not having eaten all day.
Right, the inanition. She's literally heartsick. And what also strikes me there is her immediate, very human feeling of being abandoned.
Yeah, she notices nobody's come looking for her.
Not Adele, not even Mrs. Fairfax, who's usually quite motherly. And that leads to that really poignant line, friends always forget those whom fortune forsakes.
It touches on that deep fear of isolation she's carried since childhood, hasn't it? Bates Head, Lowood.
Oh.
It all comes rushing back.
It really does. Her past fears just merge right into her current despair. It's heartbreaking.
Absolutely. So while Jane's going through this, Rochester is, well, desperate. He's trying to hold on to her, and he starts revealing this whole hidden history to try and explain, or at least justify himself.
And his remorse feels genuine, doesn't it? He compares himself to a man who slaughtered his ewe lamb.
Yeah.
There's real pity in his voice, apparently.
And what's fascinating is Jane, even then, even in all her pain, she silently forgives him at my heart's core.
Yeah, because she sees that deep remorse and his, quote, unchanged love. It says so much about her capacity for empathy even then.
To separate the man from the deceit, somehow.
It really is a testament to how deep her feelings are and her ability to see genuine emotion, even when it's mixed up with terrible actions.
He's pretty blunt about it, too. He asks her straight up, you know I am a scoundrel, Jane.
Brutally candid, yeah. And then he launches into the justification of Bertha's madness, how he was trapped, this inescapable tragedy. He calls Bertha an entanglement. He wishes he could just break like tow.
There's a real desperation in his pleas. And maybe even a hint of something darker. A threat of violence if she won't stay.
Yeah, if you won't, I'll try violence. It definitely exposes that coercive side of him, but it feels driven by this overwhelming, almost selfish need to keep her, to save his own happiness. His whole world is falling apart, and she's his only anchor.
And how does Jane respond to all that intensity?
Well, first she lets her tears flow, which feels very real. But then with this like steely calm, she just says, "Mr. Rochester, I must leave you."
That inner conscience turned tyrant speaking out loud.
Exactly. And then he makes this wild proposal, right? Take her away to a white-walled villa on the shores of the Mediterranean, south of France, an innocent life, he promises. He denies he wants her as a mistress.
He's trying to create this whole new world for them, basically, as if geography can just erase morality.
But Jane's moral compass, I mean, it's been forged through years of hardship and self-reliance. It's absolutely unwavering.
Her refusal is just absolute, cuts right through his excuses.
Totally. She says, "Sir, your wife is living. That is a fact acknowledged this morning by yourself. If I lived with you as you desire, I should then be your mistress. To say otherwise is sophistical, is false."
Boom. No room for argument there.
Yeah.
She calls him out on the rationalizations.
And you see Rochester's agitation just boil over. His voice, his hand quivering, his eyes blazing. He even bares his wrist, makes her feel his pulse, warns her to beware.
It's like he's right on the edge of losing control, trying to intimidate her emotionally.
Definitely. And Jane's involuntary cry, "God help me," it shows how much she's relying on something beyond herself, some higher power, some absolute moral truth in that crisis. It's not just about rules for her, it's about her soul.
And that's when Rochester really spills everything, isn't it? This incredibly detailed, raw explanation of his past marriage. A total desperation move.
Right. He talks about his father's greed, how he was manipulated to keep the family property together for the elder brother, Russell.
So Rochester was basically forced into marrying Bertha Mason in Jamaica, set up by his father and Mr. Mason just for her dowry. £30,000.
Which immediately paints Rochester as a bit of a victim himself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Though, of course, it doesn't excuse what he did later, but it adds this tragic backstory.
It does. And he admits he was initially, dazzled by Bertha's beauty. He even compares her to Blanche Ingram, which is telling.
Yeah, that superficial allure again, a cautionary tale right there. He claims the marriage happened almost before I knew where I was. He emphasizes his youth, his naivety, maybe even his lack of agency back then.
And the key thing, he says he never loved, I never esteemed, I did not even know her.
Which is the stark contrast to Jane, right? His connection with her is all about understanding, intellectual rapport. This whole confession, it's not just plot, it's Rochester trying to rewrite his life story for Jane, begging for her understanding.
And the description of discovering Bertha's true nature. It's horrifying.
He calls her wholly alien to mine, her tastes obnoxious, her mind common, low, narrow. He talks about her violent temper, her demands.
And claims her excesses prematurely developed the germs of insanity.
Exactly. Now, we have to remember, this is Rochester's side of the story. He's trying to justify himself, minimize his own role. But he paints this picture of despair so deep, he actually considered suicide, loaded pistols and all.
Until that symbolic wind fresh from Europe blew in, representing hope, which he now connects to Jane.
And that hope led him to the decision to bring Bertha back to England, hide her away at Thornfield with Grace Poole.
He explicitly blames Grace's drinking for Bertha's escapes, which finally explains all those creepy Gothic things happening at Thornfield. The laughter, the fires.
Right. And his travels abroad after that, they were this desperate search for, what does he call it? A good and intelligent woman whom I could love, a contrast to the fury I left at Thornfield. He was seeking redemption through connection.
He mentions his mistresses, Celine Varens, Jacinta, Clara, but says none of them satisfied that deeper longing.
No, he came back to England feeling harsh, bitter, thinking that idea of an intellectual, faithful, loving woman was just a mere dream.
And then, Helene, he meets Jane, almost by accident. The embodiment of that dream he'd given up on.
That first meeting is so symbolic. Her sitting on the stile. He sees her childish and slender form, but what grabs him is her strange perseverance, her authority when she helps him after his fall.
It wasn't her looks, it was her inner strength.
Exactly. A huge shift for him. And as he gets to know her, he sees her patience with the dell, her deep thoughts, the sweet musings of youth.
He describes her character so vividly, shy and independent, quaintly dressed, full of strange contrasts. He liked her keen, daring eye and ready answers.
He actually enjoyed being kind to her, enjoyed seeing the bloom and light and bliss that came to her face because of it. And his final conviction, he tells her, is that she is his sympathy, my better self, my good angel.
This deep, almost spiritual connection. That's his justification for wanting to marry her, despite everything. He felt it was sanctioned by something higher than society.
Which brings us back to him desperately pleading, "I will be yours, Mr. Rochester." He thinks their soul connection somehow overrides the law, overrides his existing marriage.
But Jane,
Yeah.
she just won't compromise. Her principles are ironclad.
Her reply is so simple, but so powerful. Mr. Rochester, I will not be yours.
And that kicks off this intense debate about love, law, principle.
With Jane absolutely firm, I will keep the law given by God, sanctioned by man. She refuses to break those laws no matter how much she loves him, no matter how much it hurts. She sees herself as sane, grounded in conviction, not lost in passion's madness. It's her defining moment of moral autonomy.
The tension in that scene is incredible. His desperate grasp, his flaming glance that seems to want to devour her.
It's a real battle of wills, his raw power against her quiet strength. But her resolve wins. Her final departure, despite his anguished cries, "Oh, Jane, my hope, my love, my life." It's just this ultimate testament to her moral strength.
Her heart's crying farewell, and farewell forever. She knows the sacrifice she's making. Integrity over love, over happiness.
And the way she prepares to leave is so telling. Just the essentials: linen, a locket, a ring.
And she leaves the pearl necklace. It was the visionary bride's, she says. It belonged to the dream, not to reality.
Exactly. And she takes only her 20 shillings, all she has, embracing poverty over dishonor. It's such a powerful shedding of that false life.
Her exit is so quiet, almost stealthy. Flips past Mrs. Fairfax's door, Adele's door. Can't resist saying goodbye.
Even stops at Rochester's door, hears him pacing inside, tormented, a last painful acknowledgement.
Then out through a wicket gate, onto an unknown road, determined not to look back. Straight into uncertainty, penniless, alone. But she chooses it. Incredible courage.
An assertion of self that's both defiant and deeply ethical. It's extraordinary for a heroine of that time.
And the ordeal that follows. Whitcross. It's brutal.
Utterly brutal. Penniless, friendless. The coach drops her off. Not another shilling in the world. She says, not a tie holds me to human society at this moment. Complete isolation.
A shocking contrast to the life she just walked away from.
And Brontë doesn't sugarcoat it. The struggle for basic survival is immediate. Eating wild bilberries, buying a bit of bread, barely enough.
But even then, even totally destitute, she kneels down and prays for Rochester, finds comfort looking at the stars, the Milky Way, feeling God's presence.
That spiritual strength is her anchor, isn't it? It's not about rigid rules. It's about finding inner solace, moral guidance outside of human structures. It's what stops her from completely breaking down.
Still, the struggle is relentless. She thinks about death, just escaping the pain, but then pulls herself back. Struggle on. Strive to live and bend to toil. That's Jane. Never giving up.
Indomitable spirit, absolutely. She gets to a village, tries to find work, sewing, anything. No luck.
And then that awful cold porridge moment, asking the little girl for the scraps meant for the pig.
And eating it ravenously. It's shocking. It hammers home just how desperate, how humiliated she is.
But then, a light, literally.
Yeah, this distant light on a hill through the storm. She thinks it might be an ignis fatuus, a will-o'-the-wisp, a trick of her weakened state.
But she pushes towards it anyway, desperation driving her on. It feels almost allegorical, finding hope in the dark.
And she reaches it, peeks inside Morehouse, sees this cozy, clean kitchen, a fire, an old woman knitting.
And then the two young women, Diana and Mary Rivers, reading German,
Yeah.
clearly educated ladies in mourning. A sudden shift.
But first, more rejection. Hannah, the servant, is harsh, calls Jane a vagrant, refuses shelter, offers a penny. Jane's heart just sinks.
After everything she's been through, another closed door.
But then, the turning point, the loud, long knock. Mr. St. John Rivers arrives.
His calm authority takes over. He listens to Jane, tells Hannah to let her in. A moment of unexpected grace.
And inside, Jane is just a wreck, trembling, sickening, looking ghastly, wild, and weather-beaten.
But Diana and Mary show immediate compassion. Give her food, take off her wet things, speak gently. That kindness is crucial. It starts her recovery.
It really does. And Jane, of course, uses the alias Jane Elliot. She's terrified of being discovered, linked back to Thornfield.
St. John's assessment is typically pragmatic, isn't it? Notes her lethargy. Says she looks sensible, but not at all handsome. Very detached.
Completely unlike Rochester. And over the next few days, she slowly recovers thanks to the sisters' kindness. Even Hannah softens up.
Right, when Jane quietly tells her she's no beggar, explaining about Lowood, 8 years as student, 2 as a teacher.
That revelation of her education surprises Hannah. It changes her perspectives, and they actually become friends. It shows Jane's quiet dignity even when she's weak.
So she starts to fit in, learns about the Rivers family, ancient lineage, Lost fortune, a familiar story. Their father died recently.
Which explains why they all need to work. Diana and Mary as governesses, St. John as the local parson. Diana is described as handsome and vigorous, Mary more reserved, a family shaped by duty like Jane herself.
And the connection Jane feels with Diana and Mary, it's immediate, isn't it?
Oh, totally. It's profound. They share intellectual interests, reading, discussing books, learning German together. This is what Jane has always wanted.
That companionship of equals.
Exactly. They find affection, common ground. They discover her drawing talent, too. It's this genuine bond she's never really had before, a world away from her previous isolation.
But St. John, he's different. Reserved, dedicated, often lost in his own intense thoughts, focused entirely on duty.
You get this sense of inner turmoil with him, and then Rosamund Oliver enters the picture. Beautiful, charming, wealthy, and clearly smitten with St. John.
And you can see it affects him too, despite his best efforts.
Oh yeah, his marble features change, his cheek glows, and that gesture crushing the flowers with his foot when she gets close. It screams suppressed emotion, almost violent repression.
Jane sees it immediately, of course. Her observational skills are so sharp. She sees his struggle, his self-control, and she tries to get him to open up about it.
She understands him, maybe better than he understands himself right then.
And he does explain, somewhat, why he can't marry Rosamund.
He admits her charms, her beauty, but says her defects mean she couldn't sympathize or cooperate in his life's work. She cannot be a missionary's wife.
It reveals his absolute, almost frightening dedication to his path. Duty over everything, including love or personal happiness, a very different kind of principle from Jane's.
Which leads nicely into the job he finds for her village schoolmistress.
Initially, she hates it, right?
Yeah.
Feels desolate, degraded by the ignorance, the poverty, the coarseness of the children. A big step down.
It is, but classic Jane, she resolves to overcome it. She starts finding pride and pleasure in their progress, finds joy in their small successes.
And she values the solitude, too, the time for her drawing and reading. She carves out her own space again, adapts, finds fulfillment.
She really does. Which brings us to the next massive twist, the inheritance, completely out of the blue.
St. John shows up at her cottage during a snowstorm. Very mysterious visit. He starts telling this story.
This hackneyed story, he calls it, about an orphan governess finding rich relatives. It builds suspense because it's so obviously mirroring Jane's own hidden story.
And then he reveals it. He found her real name, Jane Eyre, in a book. His suspicions confirmed.
And delivers the bombshell. Her uncle in Madeira, Mr. Eyre, is dead, and he's left her everything. 20,000 pounds.
20,000, just imagine. It transforms her instantly from a poor schoolmistress into a seriously wealthy, independent woman.
Yeah.
Almost fairy tale stuff.
But Jane's reaction is Jane, no jumping for joy. She thinks about the responsibility. One does not jump in spring and shout hurrah, hearing one has got a fortune.
Sobering, really.
Her focus isn't the money, it's what it means.
Exactly. And then comes the revelation that hits her even harder than the cash.
Family. St. John reveals that Diane and Mary are her cousins, too. Their mother was her father's sister. They share blood.
And that's where Jane feels the real joy. Not the money, but the connection.
Glorious discovery to a lonely wretch. This was wealth indeed, wealth to the heart. A mine of pure, genial affections. You feel her pulse bounding, her veins thrilling. It's the end of her isolation.
And her first instinct, share it.
Immediately. Divides the 20,000 pounds 4 ways, 5,000 each. It shows her generosity, her lack of materialism, and how much she values this newfound family.
Diane and Mary are thrilled, obviously. St. John resists at first.
Typical St. John, Mr. Austerity. But he eventually agrees to arbitration, and the equal split is confirmed. Jane literally buys her way into a family, in a sense, but through generosity, not obligation.
So life at Morehouse changes completely. Jane's preparing for Diana and Mary's return, buying furniture, making it homey. She's finally experiencing this warmth, this congeniality of tastes, sentiments, and principles.
A domestic bliss she's never known, even if St. John remains a bit aloof. Still prefers his mute books and empty rooms, a reminder of his different path amidst their happiness.
It's a lovely period of stability for her, but St. John's plans loom over it.
Yeah, his departure for missionary work is set for the next year, and we find out Rosamund Oliver got engaged to someone else. So that door is firmly closed for St. John. His path is set.
Which leads to his proposal to Jane. And it's unsettling.
Deeply unsettling. Jane says he starts having this influence over me that took away my liberty of mind. She feels she has to disown half my nature, stifle half my faculties, just to please him.
It's not courtship, it's coercion. spiritual coercion. He's trying to mold her into his ideal helper.
It shows a really dangerous side to his dedication. He wants control, not a partner.
Remember that experiment kiss? Diana pushes Jane towards him.
And St. John kisses her. Jane calls it a marble kiss. Cold, calculating, like a seal affixed to my fetters. No warmth, no affection, just claiming her.
His formal proposal is even colder, if possible.
Chillingly so. He believes God and nature meant her to be a missionary's wife. Not for love, he stresses, but for labor. He claims her not for my pleasure, but for my sovereign's service.
He sees her as a tool for his mission, a means to an end.
It's a huge test for Jane's hard-won independence. Will she sacrifice herself for his higher calling?
But Jane, again, stands firm. Her refusal is incredible. I have no vocation, she says. And then, I scorn the counterfeit sentiment you offer. Yes, St. John, and I scorn you when you offer it.
Wow, such powerful indignation. Rejecting his whole utilitarian view of marriage, of her. She won't be used, not even for God, if it means losing herself.
She does offer a compromise, though, which shows she still respects his mission, just not his methods.
Right, she offers to go as his assistant, a female curate, out of sisterly affection, admiration for the work itself, but not as his wife. She even says, I am not formed for love, meaning not for the kind of loveless marriage he's offering.
She's willing to help, but on her terms, protecting her integrity.
But St. John won't have it. A female curate who is not my wife would never suit me. He warns her she'll be limiting herself to selfish ease and barren obscurity if she refuses.
Emotional blackmail, basically.
Yeah.
Saying her life is worthless unless it serves his purpose.
And his reaction becomes this awful psychological pressure, coldness, silence, making her feel beyond the pale of his favor. He's kinder to his sisters just to isolate her, break her will.
It's cruel. Her last attempt to reconcile, just asking to be friends, is met with that cold, unmoved reply.
And she finally tells him with such insight, if I were to marry you, you would kill me. You're killing me now. The spiritual suffocation he represents.
Her conviction is just amazing. She will not yield. She won't make that mistake again, compromising herself, even if it's framed as piety this time. Her autonomy is paramount.
And right at this peak of conflict, this intense dilemma with St. John, something extraordinary happens, something that breaks the deadlock.
The voice.
The voice. Remember, Jane's been anxious, disappointed about not hearing from Rochester this whole time. That wound is still there.
Then one night, struggling in her room, torn, she hears it. Some boy cry, Jane, Jane, Jane.
And she knows it instantly. The voice of a human being, a known, loved, well-remembered voice, that of Edward Fairfax Rochester, and it spoke in pain and woe wildly, eerily, urgently.
Her response is immediate. I am coming. Wait for me. Oh, I will come. It's this incredible, almost supernatural connection across the miles.
It's profoundly impactful. It snaps her out of St. John's influence, like waking from a trance. She says it acted as if their utmost activity hitherto had been but torpor. It's an inspiration beyond logic. This telepathic link, real or symbolic, confirms where her heart, her destiny truly lies.
One of the most gothic, romantic moments ever written. Love-defying distance.
It really is. And what does she do?
She acts. Immediately. Decisively, leaves Morehouse, leaves a note for her cousins, a respectful goodbye, and sets off to find Rochester. No more hesitation.
She takes the same coach back towards Whitcross that brought her there in desperation a year earlier. But this time, she has money, independence, purpose. Full circle, but stronger.
Arrives near Thornfield, sees the sign for the Rochester Arms. Her heart leaps. Hope.
Only to have it instantly crushed. Thornfield Hall is a ruin, burnt down. The grim blackness of the stones. A scene of total devastation.
She has to find out what happened. Goes to the inn, meets the old butler.
And he tells her the horrific story. Bertha Mason set the fire, deliberately torched her own room, then Jane's old room. Pure destructive rage.
Dude, Rochester, he was heroic.
Incredibly heroic, yet tragic. Rescued the servants, showed real bravery and responsibility, then went back for Bertha, his wife. Even then.
The butler describes Bertha on the burning roof, waving her arms, laughing, yelling.
And then she flung herself from the top, a violent end to her tormented life, legally freeing Rochester, but at such a terrible cost.
Because Rochester himself was caught in the collapse.
Taken out alive, but sadly hurt. A falling beam crushed his arm, he lost a hand and blinded him. He is stone blind, a devastating, humbling fate, stripped of his power, his sight, his pride.
So Jane goes to find him at Ferndene Manor, his new isolated refuge deep in the woods.
The description is gloomy, fitting for a broken man. She sees him outside, alone, reaching out a hand, as if to feel whether it rained. Still erect, but marked by pain, his eyes blank. Such a powerful image.
And then the reunion. She goes into his room quietly. Pilot, the dog, knows her first.
Beautiful detail. Rochester, blind, can't believe she's real, thinks it's a dream, a vision. He has to touch her face to confirm it. It's incredibly tender, a rediscovery.
And Jane tells him straight away, I am an independent woman now, reveals her inheritance, making it clear. She's choosing him freely, not out of need.
Then pledges herself completely. I will never leave you, sir, from this day.
Rochester's joy is just immense. This is practical, this is real. Her voice alone cheers his withered heart, brings him back to life.
And her commitment is total. She'll be his companion, read to him, walk with him, wait on him, be his eyes and hands.
This mutual dependence deepens their bond. Jane feels perfect ease with him now, knows she suits him. Everything she does seems to console or revive him. He starts to laugh again, smile again. It's a relationship transformed, true equals now.
And then Rochester reveals his side of the supernatural call.
Right. Tying it all together. He says 4 nights ago, the same night Jane heard him, he was in a singular mood. Believed Jane was dead, prayed to God in his despair to let him die too so they could be reunited.
He'd reached rock bottom, spiritually surrendered, and he says he heard a voice reply, I'm coming, wait for me, and a moment after, where are you? He genuinely believed they met in spirit.
And Jane, amazingly, keeps her own experience quiet. Doesn't want to add to his suffering with the sheer weirdness of it all. Such compassion.
This whole experience, plus Jane's return, cements Rochester's renewed faith. He thanks God for mercy, wants to lead a purer life. His suffering has humbled him, brought him back to God. He sees his blindness, his injuries, as a necessary chastisement. He's transformed, spiritually refined, even if physically broken.
Which leads us to the conclusion. Marriage. Their earned happy ending.
Jane states it so simply. Reader, I married him. A quiet wedding. Just them, the parson, the clerk. Authentic, private.
Even the servants at Ferndean accept it. John, the servant, says something like, even if she's not the prettiest, she's good-natured, and in his eyes, she's beautiful. Simple, honest validation.
Jane writes to Diana and Mary, who approve completely. Rochester feels their honeymoon will shine our lifelong. A deep, lasting peace.
St. John, meanwhile, never answers the wedding letter. Stays focused on his mission, unmarried, heading towards his heavenly reward. A noble path, but solitary. A contrast to Jane's union.
And little Adele. Jane finds her a better school, and she grows into a pleasing and obliging companion. Jane ties up the loose ends compassionately.
Her description of married life is just content. I have now been married 10 years. I know what it is to live entirely for and with what I love best on earth. Total fulfillment.
And their bond is so deep. No woman was ever nearer to her mate than I am. Constant conversation, more animated and audible thinking, perfect trust, perfect concord. It's that true union of minds and spirits she always sought.
Built on understanding, equality, not just passion.
And that lovely final touch. Rochester regains some sight after 2 years. Enough to see a glow, a luminous cloud. Enough to see their firstborn son. A symbol of hope, new life. A future built on their tested love.
The enduring power of that love, forged through all those trials, all those moral choices, that's the ultimate message, isn't it? True love needs respect, equality, integrity.
Absolutely. It's not a fairy tale ending Brontë gives us. It's realistic. A woman's journey to self-realization. True connection isn't about finding perfection, but about acceptance, growth, and sticking to your moral core while loving deeply.
Jane's journey proves that integrity, even when it means profound suffering, leads to a deeper, more lasting happiness than compromise ever could. It's about finding yourself, and then finding someone who truly sees and cherishes that authentic self. What's the final takeaway for you, thinking about their resolution?
For me, it's that Jane doesn't just get a happy ending. She earns it. She never compromises her values, her independence, her moral code. And because of that, she finds a love that's truly reciprocal and respectful. Rochester, humbled and dependent, finally meets her as an equal. Their bond is stronger because of his vulnerability, not despite it.
Yeah, it's a powerful statement. Staying true to yourself, even when it's incredibly hard, can lead to something far more real and fulfilling than just settling or following convention. It's a love forged in fire, literally and metaphorically, and that makes it incredibly enduring.
And there you have it. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us in this story.
If you enjoyed it, a simple like or subscribe helps the channel out more than you know. Be good and take care.